Good morning, students. Today I am going to start with 7th chapter, that is non-cooperation movement. Before I start with the chapter, I would like to explain you philosophy of non-cooperation and satyagraha. The non-cooperation movement was launched on 1st August 1920 by Mahatma Gandhi with the aim of self-governance and obtaining full independence as the Indian National Congress withdrew its support for British reforms following the Rowlatt Act of 21st March 1990 and the Jallianwala Bagh massacre of 13th April 1919. Gandhiji's planning of non-cooperation movement included persuading all Indians to withdraw their labor from any activity that sustained the British government and economy in India, including British industries and educational institutions. In addition to promoting self-reliance by spinning khadi, buying Indian made goods only and doing away with the English clothes. Gandhi's non-cooperation movement called for the restoration of the Khilafat in Turkey and the end to untouchability. The resulting public held meetings and strikes, that is hartals, led to the first arrest of both Jawaharlal Nehru and his father Motilal Nehru on 6 December 1921. It was one of the movements for Indian independence from British rule and ended, as Nehru described in his autobiography, suddenly in February 1922 after the Chauri Chaura incident. Subsequent independence movements were the Civil Disobedience Movement and the Quit India Movement. Through non-violent means or ahimsa, protesters would refuse to buy British goods, adopt the use of local handicrafts and picket liquor shops. The idea of ahimsa and non-violence and Gandhi's ability to rally hundreds of thousands of common citizens towards the cause of Indian independence were first seen on large scale in this movement through the summer of 1920. Now, the non-cooperation movement was a reaction towards the oppressive policies of the British Indian government, such as Rowlatt Act and Jallianwala Bagh. And Gandhi, who was a preacher of non-violence, was horrified at the loss of life during Jallianwala Bagh massacre. He lost all faith in the goodness of the British government and declared that it would be a sin to cooperate with the satanic government. Gandhi derived his ideologies and inspiration from ongoing non-cooperation movements, particularly that by Satguru Ram Singh, who is credited as being the first Indian to use non-cooperation and boycott of British goods and services as political weapon. The impact of the revolt was a total shock to British authorities and a massive encouragement to millions of Indians. Unity in the country was strengthened and many Indian schools and colleges were made Indian goods were encouraged. Mahatma Gandhi felt that the revolt was wearing off course and was disappointed that the revolt had lost its non-violent nature after Chauri Chaura. He did not want the movement to degenerate into a content of violence with police and angry mobs attacking each other back and forth, victimizing civilians in between. Gandhiji appealed to the Indian public for all resistance to end, went on a fast lasting 3 weeks, and called off the non cooperation movement. Gandhi was also a firm believer of struggle, truce, and struggle. He believed that after duration of struggle there should be a resting phase. So this is a short briefing about non-cooperation movement and civil and satyagraha. Now this is very important. Satyagraha, that is satya, truth, agraha, insistence, or holding firmly to or holding on to truth, or truth force, is a particular form of non-violent resistance or civil resistance. Someone who practices satyagraha is satyagrahi. The term satyagraha was coined and developed by Mahatma Gandhi. He deployed the satyagraha in the Indian independence movement and also during his earlier struggle in South Africa for Indian rights. Satyagraha theory influenced Martin Luther King Jr. and James Webel's campaigns during the civil rights movement in United States, as well as Nelson Mandela's struggle against apartheid in South Africa and many other social justice and similar movements. The term originated in a competition in the news sheet Indian Opinion in South Africa in 1906. Mr. Maganlal Gandhi, grandson of an uncle of Mahatma Gandhi, came up with the word Satyagraha, Sadagraha, and won the prize subsequently to make it clearer. Gandhiji changed it to Satyagraha. Satyagraha is a Tat Purusha, compound of Sanskrit word Sat meaning truth, and Agraha, that is polite insistence or holding firmly to. Satyagraha is derived from the word Sat, which means being. Nothing is or exists in reality except truth. In the context of Satyagraha, truth therefore includes truth in speech as opposed to falsehood, what is real as opposed to non-existence, asat, and see, good as opposed to evil or bad. This was critical to Gandhi's understanding of and faith in non-violence. The world rests upon the bedrock of Satya or truth. Ast meaning untruth also means non-existent, and Satya or truth also means that which is. If untruth does not so much as exist, its victory is out of question, and truth being that which is can never be destroyed. This is the doctrine of Satyagraha in a nutshell. For Gandhi, Satyagraha went far beyond mere passive resistance and became strength in practicing non-violent methods. In his word, truth, Satya, implies love and firmness, Agraha, engenders and therefore serves as a synonym for force. I thus began to call the Indian movement Satyagraha, that is to say, the force which is born of truth and love or non-violence, and gave up the use of the phrase passive resistance in connection with it, so much so that even in English writing we often avoid it and used instead the word Satyagraha itself or some other equivalent English phrase. So this is a little briefing about Satyagraha. Gandhiji also says that its root meaning is holding on truth, hence truth force. I have also called it love force or soul force. In the application of Satyagraha, I discovered in the earliest stages that pursuit of truth did not admit of violence being inflicted on one's opponent, but that he must be weaned from error by patience and compassion. For what appears to be truth to one may appear to be the error to the other. And patience means self suffering. So the doctrine came to mean vindication of truth, not by infliction of suffering on the opponent but on oneself. Gandhiji distinguished between satyagraha and passive resistance in following letter. I have drawn the distinction between passive resistance as understood and practiced in the West and satyagraha before I had evolved the doctrine of letter to its full logic and spiritual extent. I often used passive resistance and satyagraha as synonymous terms, but as the doctrine of satyagraha developed, the expression passive resistance ceases even to be synonyms, as passive resistance has admitted of violence, as in the case of suffragettes, and has been universally acknowledged to be a weapon of weak. Moreover, passive resistance does not necessarily involve complete adherence to truth under every circumstances. Therefore, it is different from satyagraha in three essentials. Satyagraha is a weapon of strong. It admits of non-violence under any circumstances whatsoever, and it ever insists upon truth. So, this is just, I wanted to explain. Let us go to the chapter. In the Indian nation movement, the period from 1920 to 1947 is known as Gandhian era. After the death of Lokmanya Tilak in 1920, the reins of national movement went into hands of Mahatma Gandhi. He gave a new direction to freedom movement with the principles of truth, non-violence and satyagraha. Due to the influential leadership of Mahatma Gandhi, the national movement became more comprehensive. This led to the beginning of new era in freedom movement of India. Now see, with the advent of Gandhiji in freedom movement, the movement gained momentum and his techniques were very novel. His techniques touched the common people at grassroots level. And any movement can only be successful when masses support. And with Gandhiji coming into the forefront of national movement with his new ideas and techniques, common people joined the movement. Masses became part of this independent movement. This is where Gandhiji brought a change after 1919, after he came back from South Africa. Role of Gandhiji in South Africa. Mahatma Gandhi went to South Africa for some legal work in 1893. He was a lawyer by profession and he had gone on some legal matter. South Africa was a colony of British. Many Indians had settled there for business, trade and such other work. The Indians in South Africa were treated as criminals and humiliated at all times. In South Africa, Indians were treated very badly. Black colored people or brown colored people were treated as slaves. And even Gandhiji had to face humiliations. There are certain instances where once he was thrown out of a running train from a compartment which was only meant for white people. He was thrown out at an airport at a railway station called Pietermaritzburg. And after this he started campaign against all these atrocities which were committed on black people and Indian origin people in South Africa. The government declared that it was compulsory for blacks to carry an identity card and their freedom was restricted as well. Gandhiji followed the path of satyagraha against the injustice and gained justice for the people. There he fought against all these atrocities against black people and Indian people in Africa. Gandhiji arrives in India on 9th January 1915. Gandhiji returned to India from South Africa as suggested by Gopal Krishna Gokhale. He made a tour of the entire nation. Gopal Krishna Gokhale was, political guru of Gandhiji, and on his insistence, he went around India, looking at actual condition of India, misery of the people, to understand, society. He became sad looking at the misery and poverty of the people. He took up the vow of service to the nation. He stayed at Sabarmati Ashram in Ahmedabad. He followed a new technique. Of Satyagraha to gain justice for common people. Philosophy of Satyagraha. Gandhiji brought in a novel technique of Satyagraha. I have already explained this. In the popular movement, Satyagraha means insistence of truth. The main objective of Satyagraha is through patience and Satyagraha, an unjust person is made aware of truth and justice and also bring transformation in his views. A person following Satyagraha should never use violence, and untruth means was the teaching of Gandhiji. When Gandhiji started this non-cooperation movement, and at Chauri Chaura incident where peaceful protesters were fired at, those protesters went violent. They burned a police station, killing policemen. And Gandhiji, looking at the violent nature, the non-violent movement turning into violent movement, he immediately stopped the non-cooperation movement. And there are difference of opinion that if this movement would not have been stopped at Chauri Chaura, maybe the fight of struggle would have been much more easier and India would have got independence much earlier. But these are all thing of debate, thing of research, and different opinion by scholars. But what Gandhiji believed was 100% non-violence. Later, not only in India but in many parts of the world, people adopted the path of Satyagraha to fight against injustice. Gandhiji's path of Satyagraha made an impact on Martin Luther King, who was struggling for rights of black in America, as well as Nelson Mandela in South Africa. These are the two instances where Gandhiji's technique of Satyagraha was utilized by political leaders to fight for the cause of black peoples in America and Africa. And both these political leaders, were successful by using this technique of Satyagraha. Champaran Satyagraha. In Bihar, the farmers of Champaran region were forced to cultivate indigo. Indigo is a coloring agent. The cultivators suffered economically since they received fixed amount from the planters. Gandhiji went to Champaran in 1917. He organized the farmers in Champaran and launched agitation by following the way of Satyagraha. Gandhiji's first war of independence in India became successful and the farmers were given justice. This was the first instance when Gandhiji used this technique of Satyagraha at Champaran and saw that Britishers gave in to the demands of Gandhiji and farmers got their dues with this technique of Satyagraha. See, this is how Gandhiji is practically building up situation for further struggle against the British. Kheda Satyagraha. Due to constant famines in Kheda district, that is Gujarat, the crop had failed. Still, land tax was forcibly collected by government. Farmers, their crops got destroyed, but they were forcibly asked to pay the taxes. Gandhiji suggested that the farmers should refuse to pay the tax. The farmers began the movement for scrapping of tax at Kheda in 1918. Gandhiji accepted the leadership of this movement. Within a short period of time, the government suspended the tax. So, the second victory for Gandhiji. Workers' movement at Ahmedabad. During the First World War, there was great inflation. See, India was not directly involved in the war. But since Britishers were ruling us, so India got indirectly involved in the war where, war materials, food grains, other essential things were sent outside country for the benefit of soldiers, for the benefit of British soldiers. And all this put, economic, financial and other burden of population, where prices of essential commodities went up. People were poor. So, all this created, miseries for the people. Now, mill workers demanded for rise in salary. But the mill owners rejected this demand. As per Gandhiji's advice, the workers went on hunger strike. Finally, the mill owners had to back off and the salary of workers was increased. Satyagraha against Rowlatt Act. In the First World War, the Indians had helped the British. The Indians felt that after the World War is over, there will be a system of governance for taking decisions for well-being of the Indians. This is, perception of Indian people. This is what Indians thought that Britishers will do. There was growing unrest among Indians regarding the increasing prices, taxes, etc. To suppress this discontent and to suggest measures about it, a committee was appointed under Sir Sidney Rowlatt. According to recommendations of this committee, a new law was passed without considering the opposition of Indian members in Central Legislative Assembly. A new law was passed, but Indian political leaders were not at all consulted. On March 17, 1919, this law came to be known as Rowlatt Act. This act gave the right to the government to arrest anybody without any warrant or imprison without any trial. See, this was also referred as a Black Act. And this Rowlatt Act was just to stop all these movements against British government. That is why this act was passed, to arrest any Indian without any warrant or without any trial if anyone went against the government. Appeal was prohibited against the punishment given through this act, and Indians could not appeal in the court. They could not go to the court against any arrest. The Indians called this act as Black Act, and a tide of anger arose all over India against this act. Gandhiji launched a satyagraha against it. On 6th April 1919, he appealed to the Indians to follow hartal, strike, all over India against the act. Indians responded to this appeal on large scale. Now again another satyagraha, another hartal was started by Gandhiji. See, this is how Gandhiji is building up forces against the British. Now he is more into common people. At grassroots level now he is working. And that was one of the reasons why most of his hartals and strikes were successful, because masses supported him. See, if you look at technique of satyagraha, Gandhiji also went against Salt Act. Salt, a very cheap commodity. But salt is one thing, how delicious the food is. But if you don't put salt in it, the taste doesn't come. And salt was also heavily taxed. Indian salt industry was destroyed. Now he started a salt satyagraha against Britishers. It was just to bring every section of society into the freedom movement, to make common people, poor people realize what Britishers were doing to them, how Britishers were exploiting them. So salt satyagraha was, one of those, satyagrahas where, every section of society automatically got involved in the movement. This is where, Gandhiji was different from other political leader. And that is why, people from every section of society supported Mahatma Gandhi during independence struggle. After he came to India and started all these satyagrahas. Now Jallianwala Bagh massacre. The movement that aroused against the Rowlatt Act took over a fierce form in the province of Punjab. Amritsar became the main center of this movement. The government had started the spate of suppression. Gandhiji was prohibited from entering the province of Punjab. With this Rowlatt Act, British government immediately came into action and people were arrested, political leaders were arrested, political meetings were not allowed, hartals were not allowed, any anti-British activities were not allowed, and anybody found in doing so was immediately arrested. And most of the leaders were, not allowed to enter or leave their area. Gandhiji was not allowed to enter the province of Punjab. General Dyer issued orders of ban on public meetings in Amritsar. Important leaders like Satyapal and Dr. Kichlew were arrested for their involvement in Amritsar Hartal case. These were the local leaders. They were immediately arrested. As a protest against this, on 13th April 1919, on Baisakhi Day, that is a very important festival for Sikh community, the people of Amritsar assembled at place named Jallianwala Bagh. That is a big huge ground, and entrance to a ground is very narrow. General Dyer arrived with armed force. The place was enclosed from all sides and had only one small gate. General Dyer positioned his army and closed down the only gate without giving any prior notification to disarmed innocent people. Now these people were not at all armed. They were in no way violent in their protest. They were all innocent. Elderly people, small kids, ladies, girls, they were just simply, celebrating this festival. He ordered his soldiers to fire. 1660 rounds had been fired. The army continued firing until the ammunition was over. In this massacre, about 400 people, including men and women, were killed. Many people were wounded. See, this number 400 is a government record. Only for record this number is given. This number could be much more when it comes to number of people being killed at Jallianwala Bagh massacre. Many people were wounded. After firing, curfew was announced and hence immediate treatment to injured could not be made available. In entire Punjab, military law was enforced and many were sent to jail by the government. See, I have visited this Jallianwala Bagh place, and even now you can see bullet marks on the wall, and inside that Bagh there is a well, Baudi, Kuan. When Britishers started firing bullet, more than 200 people, they jumped into that well to save themselves from bullet, British firing, they jumped into the well, and all of them lost their life. This was the situation at that Bagh, and since it was enclosed from all sides, people could not go out of it. And though only 400 round record, but much more people might have been killed. General Michael O'Dwyer, governor of Punjab, was responsible for this massacre. Massacre means mass killing. All over India there was protest against this act. As a protest against this massacre, Rabindranath Tagore gave away the title of Sir bestowed on him. See, Britishers used to bestow this title of Sir, Order of British Empire, to people, those who were into field of literature or those who did something for the society. This type of personalities were given this title of Sir, Order of British Empire. So he returned away his title of Sir, which was given to Rabindranath Tagore for his literary work. Later, Indians demanded for inquiry of this massacre. Hence, the British government appointed the Hunter Commission. Students, I will end it here and will continue. Next period, I will start with Khilafat movement. But please go through the chapter, read it thoroughly, and if any difficulty, please do ask me. Thank you. Stay home, take care.